Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I'm your host, Dr. Maury Mosvitz, with my all-time most favorite, most giggliest co-host, Jen Albanese, who's trying to crack me up before we even start the podcast today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Well, I don't know. When we first come on, I don't know what to do. I'm always just like,
you can just smile. It's okay. You don't have to.
I know. I did. It's like it hits the thing, and I'm just like, smile. I don't know. People who are watching this are like, what the hell's wrong with these people?
Well, today we have a guy that won't crack up because Sean is like.
No, he's so good.
Sean's great. He oversees the facilities and event side at Brown, which is awesome, and he's been doing it for a while. Not long after he left us at Syracuse for his internship, he went over there, and he is killing it.
I know.
Doing
Big
stuff
job there. Yeah,
I do every day with running the facilities and making sure games happen. So I'm so excited to see him doing awesome, and I'm sure going to have pretty amazing tips and tricks for people.
Oh, I'm sure.
Knowing
Absolutely.
Sean.
Yeah. He's so great. It'll be a good conversation.
So looking forward to him coming on.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, coming up in the near future, one of our favorites is the New York State Fair.
Oh, we love it.
The fair.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's obviously fairs all across the country, but we have the best one. We are not biased at all, but
coming from another state, I will say the New York State Fair is better than what my old fair that we went to as a kid.
Everyone says it's the best fair in the country, so it's pretty great.
It's pretty intense. I mean, it is like a pilgrimage year after year that you have to go.
It's like what? It's like 14 days long. Because I feel like that's a long one for a state fair.
It is.
You know? And it's like the thing to do in town at the end. It's at the end of the summer, though, so it makes you feel like summer's over when you get to the fair. But
it is a little sad.
There's so many good things to do. I mean, obviously, Maury and I very much enjoy the food. That's the best part.
So what's the favorite food item? That's
put me on the spot. There's so many. I mean, you have to go through and get all of your favorites. I like, obviously, the pizza free, which is fried dough, but it's like really
but in upstate New York, you have to call it pizza free.
But it's like that. It's like extra specially good at the fair because they just pump it out. Like there's just like a line all the time.
Super covered in oil and sugar. So it's just great.
It's the best. I don't know what else. We always get like the gyros and
the mini cups of milk. And for some reason, the mini cups are better.
That's the only time I drink milk all year. That's what I tell people. So I get my calcium fill when I drink the milk at the state fair. That's it. It's the best milk.
My favorite thing is like in the old Dairy Barn, they don't do it anymore. They used to have like the gallon jugs you could buy for like $1, or you could spend 25 cents on a Dixie cup. And there's just people in line to give their 25 cents for a Dixie cup when you could spend $1. And like basically the return on it is insane. Like you could, and people are like, no, the Dixie cup is so much better. And it's clearly an upstate New York thing that is insane. Listen, it's one of those nuts things that we do up here.
It's an I Love New York cup. Okay.
And it's a Dixie cup.
And it comes straight from the cow.
No, it doesn't. Literally, it comes from a refrigerator that has a cow on top of it. It is really cold. I'll give you that.
It's so good.
It's like right below freezing. I don't know how that happens. Like it's right above like turning into ice cream, but it is. It's super cold. I will give you that. That's the only difference between that and the $1 jug that you could buy, and you could buy like literally. There's like 40 of those Dixie cups in that 1 gallon thing, and everyone from upstate New York's getting the one thing.
It's so good.
That's my rant that I go on every time.
It's so good. We also always share the bloomin' onion, though. We like the bloomin' onion. And then the fair always has like the fried things, like the fried Oreo, the fried ice cream, and you get all like the crazy stuff there too. So that's always a fun.
And then the cardiologist booth is right on the outside. They'll hand out their thing as you walk out.
Hey, but listen, the fair is so spread out. Like you get a ton of steps in the day that you're there.
Yeah,
like you get a lot of walking, you get a lot of exercise.
That offsets the giant thing, a glass of chocolate milk.
The clogged arteries that you get from going to the fair, but.
Well,
it's so much fun.
I have a recollection. I think Sean did come to the fair when he was a student up here. So because it's like a rite of passage. So we will.
It is. You have
make sure that maybe we can get him to reminisce on that. But with that, we have to get to Sean. So we'll get to everybody after these messages.
All Are you a loyal 5 Tips and Tricks podcast listener? If not, now is the time to start. Get all your info and fun content on the podcast by following us on all our social channels at @AthCareerPod. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting. Make sure to reach out to us. The one-stop shop for everything is our website, www.athcareer.com. Remember, follow and like us on @AthCareerPod, rate and review us, and get all your info at www.athcareer.com. All right, everybody, welcome back. Maury, would you like to introduce our guest today?
100%. This is a really special one for me. Today's guest began his journey in the world of sports, events, entertainment with a bachelor's degree from Johnson & Wales University. Early in his career, he worked as a sales manager for PSE Agency, where he sold group season tickets for the Providence Bruins and a wide range of events at the Dunkin Donuts Center, including Disney on Ice, Monster Jam, and the Harlem Globetrotters. Driven to deepen his expertise, he went on to earn his master's degree in sport, venue, and event management from Syracuse University. While there, he also completed his internship at both Syracuse and then went on to Harvard, gaining hands-on experience in operations side of college athletics. In 2018, he joined Brown University, where his career steadily progressed. He began as a coordinator of facilities and operations, and then was promoted to assistant athletic director in 2021, and then in 2024, stepped into the current position of associate director of athletics for facilities and events. Now he leads a team of 8 full-time staff, manages major facility projects and maintenance, and serves as the event manager for football. He also oversees Ivy League and NCAA tournament coordination of special events and manages both the facilities operations budget and the athletic department game expenses budget. With a strong foundation, operations and leadership, and a track record of successes across multiple prestigious institutions, we're proud to welcome to the show, Sean Bueno. Welcome, Sean, who I should also say was my intern.
Yes, I was. Yes, thank you.
Hi, Sean.
It's great to be here. Very excited for this. And, it's just awesome to, now, let's see, 9 years later.
I know. I was I was thinking about it today. I was like, oh my God, it's been almost 10 years since Sean was at Syracuse and helping us out and doing everything where we were all packed into that one office together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
It seems like it was just yesterday, Sean. Just yesterday.
It does. It truly does. Time does fly.
It's crazy. Yeah. I'm at NACTA, we were at NACTA, and Sean's like introducing me to all his staff, and I go, wow, how the world has really changed. And he's introducing me to all his staff. So it's been it's such a great circle. So I've had you on the list for a while. I'm like, I'm going to save Sean, and we're going to get you into the circulation because I knew you'd have a lot of great tips for people. So.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So with that, go for it. Tip number 1.
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned NACTA. My first tip, and this is from I believe 4 years ago now. The first time I went out, for the NACTA conference, doing the roundtable discussions, all that, and was trying to figure out how does everyone get everything done that's on their plate, I was realizing that my desk was getting very cluttered. You have your list, which turns into sticky notes, which turns into where did I write that down? We're being pulled in many different directions, wearing a lot of different hats and facilities and events. So through the roundtable discussion, I got the piece of advice of, well, why don't you just time block your calendar? And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And I can't remember who it was, but the advice was to time block your calendar. So if you have a deadline that you have to reach, and I actually just did this the other day. I had a project from my boss. It had to be done by the end of the day today. I blocked off from 2:30 to 3:30 today to get that project done. Because if it's due the end of the day, I'm going to make sure it's done before the end of the day. So that way, if I got to go back and finish something still, I have time. So I utilize that all the time. When I have things I got to get done, when I have a ton of meetings that are happening, I'll even time block just a half hour to do emails, because as you're sitting in meeting after meeting after meeting, your inbox is just getting out of control. And I was finding that, okay, I've been in meetings all day, I get back to my office, it's like I have a line of people they're waiting, all these questions, whatever it is. So I found if I just block off a half hour or something like that, if people are looking for me and they say, oh, he's busy, he must be in a meeting, or there's something that he's doing. So that's been a real great way for me to balance those type of things. And I know that way too. And my staff knows this. If it's that important, just ask me. If you see a half hour blocked off here or an hour there, it could be a meeting, but it could just be like, I got to get this done. And it's a reminder for me. We use Gmail at Brown, so I get a reminder on my desktop. I get it on my phone. I get it on my Apple Watch. Like, hey, 10-minute reminder. You have this at 8:30 or whatever it may be. So I've just really utilized that to stay on top of things. Just because my desk was getting way too cluttered, and then I also do it too, just for your general reminders. We talked about NCAA events, right? So we have to do all the bids if you want to host those events. You can't just do that the week of. You got to get hotels, you got to submit budgets, you got to get staffing squared away. There's all these different things that go into it. So if you're like, oh yeah, it'd be great to host. Oh wow, it's due in 3 days. You're going to be in trouble.
Right.
So I have for each season on all my calendars reminders a month out from the deadline, because we all get into the swing of things. Before you know it, you're like, oh my God, I got to get the bid in.
Right.
So I always utilize the calendar for those things, and just the annual things that we always do. We always screen coat the gym. We always do turf maintenance. We do all these things, and you may think, oh, well, I'll never forget that. You will.
It's very easy to forget those things.
Yes.
Shockingly. Shockingly easy. Or once you get the bid, that you have to put in and like reconcile all the payments so that you get reimbursed.
That's going to be the other thing too. Then you got that deadline. Yep.
You better put that in your calendar too, because that comes up really quick. And then if you miss that, you get a penalty. So it's definitely 100% Outlook. We use Outlook, so I feel like I'm living and dying by how much Outlook's put in, and then inevitably the AD's secretary will call me up and be like, you have something on your calendar. Do you by any chance have free time? I'm like, well, that hour that I put aside to actually do any paperwork now just got swooped up. So that's the worst one, where you're like, oh, I had this planned. I had the best intentions. And then someone takes your time. That's the worst.
Oh, yeah, there are the certain people that you're like, okay, well, I'll just figure it out. I gotta move this around.
I'm gonna have to do something.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the point of like learning to be organized, and everybody is a little bit different on how that works. But like a calendar is a perfect example. Like everything is in one spot. You can keep it all kind of flowing for each day. And it's just the point of how do you keep yourself organized? Because then you're able to make sure you get everything done. So that's a really good one. I love the calendar. I live and die by the calendar too. So it keeps you on target all for the entire day. So.
And I think the best part, like,
a game changer for me.
What you say is like, because you can have it on your phone, because you have it on your computer when you're there, it's so much easier to deal with than, when you used to like I would do a lot of, like you said, lists and writing things down, but it doesn't always make it as effective, because now you left the list somewhere, or you're like trying to fumble through all these papers and you can't keep it updated. Yeah. So no, I really agree with you. And I've picked up on that too. Like especially in the facilities and event side of things, when there's so many different date related items, it makes your life so much easier to keep track of it that way. So what a great tip.
So we live and die by the deadline.
Exactly.
Try to schedule time for lunch too. I always try to make sure there's like 30 minutes so I can eat. It's just me, but
that's usually when I'm doing my emails. I'm like up at my desk eating, doing my emails at the same time.
Well, listen, at least you're eating. So that's the
there
most
you go.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
Awesome. Nice start. Okay. Number 2, Sean, what do we got?
Yep. So number 2, and this is one that I truly believe in, is, to see the person and not the title. And what I mean by that is it's a few different things. We rely heavily on all the people that we work with. Our hands are in everything, whether it's across campus, whether it's in the division. And everyone has an important role in the division or on campus for success for athletics, for success for campus. And you really can't have an ego. You can't look at someone and say, oh, well, they're just the intern, or they're just the director of ops, or no, it doesn't matter. They all bring something to the table. Work with the people that, you have around there, and that's how you're going to reach a common goal. But I also look at that twofold too, of we all just want to be treated like people, right?
Right.
We want to get the same respect that, we show others. And that goes a long way. And I'll talk about relationship building quite a bit today because it's something I truly do believe in. But the other flip side of that is I try not to think about like, oh, who am I going to be speaking with? And, you kind of psych yourself out like, oh, I got to go in the head coach's office or, I have to go talk to our vice president or, we've had times on campus where we have these really big dignitaries that are on campus and they always utilize our basketball gym because we can host the most amount of people. So we've had Joe Biden and Bill Clinton and I'm working with Secret Service and it's like, you can't get caught up in that.
Right.
We're all just people, right?
It
doesn't matter that they are, very, very, very important people. Now, don't forget that fact, but don't get too caught up in it either. So that's something that I've always believed in is, look at the person, don't get caught up in the title or something like that. Because I think a lot of times people can get caught up in those things. Sometimes feel that, oh well, that's not really my job or it's someone else's because that's who they are. Well, if you see trash, pick it up. I'm not the custodian, but I'm still going to do it.
Maury literally did that the other day. He picked up trash in front of me, and I go, "Look at you, Maury. You're the best."
I do it constantly.
It's a facilities thing.
I do it constantly. I do it, and if I can't get to it, I'm texting someone on my phone to go be like, "I see that way far away. Someone needs to go pick that up." So.
Yep.
Piece of paper blowing in the wind. Maury's like, "Somebody get the paper."
There's either a grounds person or a person on my staff that's getting some sort of text like, I just saw this happening somewhere. So
and it's funny you say the grounds person. So I have a monthly coffee that I have with our superintendent for grounds, and he's another classic person of that. It's like, who can find the trash first if we're walking around campus or we're going to grab a coffee. So and it's the same thing too, where he's a superintendent, he's very high up, he's super busy,
right?
And that job is not above him, right? He does not care about that. He gets the job done. He knows everybody on campus, always having conversations with people. So that's something I just try to instill with my staff is see the person, get to know people too. When you're having these emergency calls, if the person that's on the other line knows who you are and what you stand for, and they don't just see you as, well, they're calling me because they have a problem. They're much more willing to help you in those emergency situations.
I think the other thing too is like there's a lot of people that will want to go to like the top and they feel like that's very, like you said, like that really is like, but I found that it's the people that are in the trenches, and maybe it's because, and we're all in that situation where we started. No one starts at the top, right? Or you can't. So I've always really found like a lot of the people, and I'll say this sometimes for myself, like there's some things that my staff is working on that I don't have the exact details of, or anybody like, and I think all of us that, they might be better attuned to something. So having a conversation with them is sometimes better than starting the conversation with me, because I might not be working on that project as closely. Or I was thinking about the guys with the grounds department. Like I have a great relationship with our grounds superintendent, but like if I'm standing out there walking the grounds and something with a field, I'm talking to the guy that's working on it. Like he knows it so well. And he can just say to me like, hey, Maury, X, Y, and Z. And I'll be like, okay, like the next time we have a conversation about budgeting or doing something, we'll bring it up and talk about it. So, jumping to that person at the top isn't always to the most beneficial of anything, to be honest. Like, no offense to my athletic director, he'll be the first one to tell you, or I'm sure in any situation, he doesn't know everything that I'm doing when we talk about, here's what's planning for facilities. More than likely, he'll be like, well, let me put you on to our guy that does facilities. And that's the purpose. It's not about, like you said, the title. It's about the relationships and what people do. And, I've just found, and maybe we got it from the same place, but I just found those like essential relationships that you have with people, and you go across campus, and being at a place for like 20 years, Jen laughs. Like the story I think about is we were driving one time and I'm sitting back doing an email or something, and someone pulls up and they're like, oh, do you have a pass or whatever? And they're like, oh, no, we're going to this meeting. And they gave them a really hard time. And then I just kind of pulled up and waved my head and like, oh, Maury, go ahead. So you have those relationships, but I've worked with those people for so long on so many different things, and I know who they are, and I know they know what I'm doing. So it's like you said, it's that that relationship that you develop with people.
100%.
And it wouldn't have worked if I just knew their boss. They wouldn't have cared less. They wouldn't know who I was.
Who's
right.
Maury?
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
says who's Maury. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Everybody knows Maury.
There's a couple people. Don't worry
Nobody
about
says
it.
who's Maury. No way. No way.
Anybody in the boots on the ground people know who I am. I don't know if all the people at the top always know who I am.
Oh, I think they do, Maury, but that's okay. Oh, that's a good one. That's
awesome.
A really good one. Yeah.
Okay. Tip number 3.
Yep. So tip number 3 for me is that mistakes are just teachable moments. And the way I look at it, and I tell my staff this all the time, don't be afraid to make the mistake. Mm-hmm. We all make mistakes. That's why they're mistakes. No one says, you know what, I'd really like to mess up today. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah. So it's something that I'm always telling my staff, like, just go for it, right? If you make the mistake, that's okay. We just can't make the mistake again. We're going to learn from it. I'm going to walk you through it. And that's how we're going to continue to progress in your career. We've all made mistakes, right? It happens.
100%. Yep.
And I found that giving that, message to my staff just gives them a ton of confidence. And I always tell them, like, I don't care if you made the wrong decision. If you can walk me through what that thought process is, you made it with confidence. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
Right.
When stuff hits the fan on an event day, like, everyone's looking at us to make a decision. Just roll with it, right? Mm-hmm. Be confident in what the decision is. If you can walk me through why you did that or why you thought we should do, X, Y, and Z when an issue came up, great. I'm sure I've had to deal with it at some point, and I'll say, okay, yep, you thought right when you got to this point, but then this is how we should have done it. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Now we know that. Let's not make that mistake again when it happens. And that's something that, now that I'm going into 7.5 years at Brown, as things come up, my staff know that I've seen a lot of stuff now. And it was the same thing, when I started of, all right, I really messed this up. Let me talk to my bosses and see how we fix this. And, they always had an answer for me, which I appreciated. And now it's been cool to be on the other side of that where, they're looking for me for that guidance of, or, hey, I really messed this up. How do we fix this? And I say, yeah, no problem. And then we'll sit down after that and say, okay, now let's not do that again. This is how we're going to handle it next time. So let's remember that. So that's a tip from me is a mistake is just a teachable moment. Don't get caught up on it. And again, no one wants to make mistakes. We don't do it just to say, yeah, mistakes are great. Let me just keep making them.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
Learn from it. You'll be okay. We all make them.
Yes.
No, I like that you said it's because I have this conversation and I feel like I'm living a parallel life to you, but probably because we do the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
But, it's the thought process. Like if you could explain why you did it and you thought through it, I'm not going to be upset with you. Like there's no reason if you just didn't think, then we have like a bigger problem. Like you said, like if you do the same things over and over again that don't work, that's a problem. Or 2, you just didn't pause and like think through it because you panicked or because you let somebody else influence your decision, which I think is actually one of the hardest things for young professionals. Like, yeah, you can make a mistake, but make the mistake because you made it, not because someone else make you make it. Is just such like an amazing thing. And then I'm at the point in my career where I think it's so funny because, and I was doing this today with talking with someone, is I'm watching other people teach people how to deal with their mistakes, like our staff working with interns and seeing how, and I've been very fortunate that some of the staff that works for me was an intern for me at one point, and watching them cultivate people and say, okay, like, why did you do it that way? And I'm like, wow, this is an amazing thing. Cause a couple years ago, I was having the same conversation with you,
yeah.
but you're 100% right. Like if you can, it's okay to make those mistakes, but do it with being thoughtful, do it with using your experience, do it with like making sure that you're not repeating your same things. And that's going to lead to success. And a supervisor that gets upset with you for that is doing the wrong thing, or make sure you're talking to your supervisor, because they might not be upset with you. They might just be trying to help you grow and evolve. So don't don't take it that way all the time, and just realize it's okay. It's never gonna be perfect. Like the first time the NCAA called and questioned me, like, oh, did I do something wrong? I was like, for a postseason competition, I was like, no, this just happened. Like there's no way I could have controlled this. You can't control every variable. So own what you can do and do the best you can.
Yeah, I think it's the fact of like the whether they're a younger professional or an intern on your staff, like learning from the mistake and then working together, because it might teach you something too. Like I kind of come in contact with this as I used to do like the on-field stuff for football, and now I'm up doing the production side of things. And like I had a certain way, the way I did certain things on the field, but now the new person is coming in and has found a different way to do it. It might not be the way that was comfortable for me, but they found a more efficient way to do it. And they made their own mistake and then they learned from it and we got to a better point. So we both kind of learned from it. So I think it's like you said, it's a learning experience, not only for those people, but for you too, because they might find a different, it might come out with a better result than it was before. Yeah. So, I think it's just people having, like you said, having the confidence to go for something and not being afraid to fail. So
yeah, and sometimes that mistake will be what, you know what, that's actually never happened to me. You know?
Yeah, right, again, exactly.
We work in events. Crazy things happen.
100%.
At that point too,
they do.
We can go to our whole team and brainstorm and be like,
and work through it together.
So-and-so had this happen the other day. To my knowledge, this has never happened. Like, you know, this is how I think we should deal with it, but does anyone else have some feedback on it? And how can we work as a team to come up with a better solution in case it does happen again? And in that way too, it's a learning moment for everyone, not just
everybody. Exactly.
The person that it happened to.
To be honest, I feel like that's some of the most beneficial. Jen and I do a co-meeting of our groups, and when we sit there and say like, okay, like this happened, what, never experienced, like what do we think we should do about it? This is what we did. Could we have done it differently? I feel like that's like where I feel the most productive and you get the most out of it. So not to put 100%. The person down and say, hey, you did it wrong. It's more like, okay, good solution. Could we have done?
How do we do it better?
Could we do it better? Maybe we couldn't. Maybe that was the best option. So no, that's awesome. And hopefully everyone is going to institutions or working in places where they feel that, because it's a key to being successful in this world of athletics, because it is not going to go perfect all the time.
No, never. It's never perfect.
It's just huge for their confidence too. You know, I work with the younger group. I'm fortunate that, I was able to see some of them as interns, same as you, Maury, and now they're working for me, and seeing that progression, it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
Definitely one of the most rewarding parts of it is to be like, okay, now you have people that are out there that work for you, that are out there working at other places. And it's always real positive. And with that, what are we, number 4, Jen?
4, yes.
Number 4. Keep me on track.
I got you.
Number 4. So this one, I feel, it could be general, but specifically, I think it really hones into event management. Is my 3 keys to success are always organization, communication, and then relationships. If you're not organized, that event's going to be a disaster. Yeah. And I can promise you that. And not only do you have to be organized, you need to make sure that everyone else is on top of their game as well. Does communications have everything they need? Does marketing, our athletic trainers, all set and have what they need? DPS, event staff, you name it. That's all going to fall under your umbrella as an event manager. So you got to have, your I's dotted and your T's crossed, but you also have to make sure everyone else is as well. So organization, a huge thing that you need to be successful in this field. Communication, again, it goes right back to that in terms of we're working with so many different departments on a game day. You have to be clear with your communication. When things go right, when they go wrong, you have to communicate to everybody. That could be, you have to institute your EAP. Well, that requires really clear communication. Yeah. I think this past weekend we had state championships for Rhode Island high school championships, and we had severe thunderstorms. We had to clear our track event at our stadium. We had to clear our lacrosse games that were going on as well. And that goes to PA reads, that goes to graphics on the video board, that goes to radio communication, to all your event staff. And going through those plans ahead of time. So it's not the first time they hear it, is when you're actually enacting it. And that was something where my staff on Monday looked at the forecast for the weekend and said, hey, let's make sure we get this on the radar, the Rhode Island Interscholastic League, so that way they know what our policy is and how we're going to handle it and what role they're going to play in it. So communication is kind of that second pillar for success. And I know we talked about it earlier, but relationships. We can't do our jobs by ourselves, right? So you got to have strong relationships with the people that you're working with, because you're going to rely on them for a lot, especially on a game day. You can't do it all on your own. You're going to need help. And people are way more willing to help out when they care about the person that they're helping out. I try to get to know all the people I work with. And that goes back to, again, see the person, not the title. And I just think too, that's the best part about this job, right? Is all the relationships that you get to build with people, whether it's the student athletes, whether it's your coworkers, our jobs in those events is what brings everyone together. You see the same fans, the season ticket holders, get to know those people as well. We're very fortunate, and specifically the facilities and events world, that we deal with so many different people. Whether it's good or bad, we're intertwined in everything.
Right.
And that goes to across campus too. Like you said, Maury, you seem to know everyone on campus. I kind of feel the same now that I'm, 7+ years on campus. And as I progressed, just meeting everyone over the years. And, I think that's just a huge part of it. And something I always instill in my team as well is we call it PR. I tell them, hey, go out and do some PR. Go around campus. Take a walk to the main green. See who you run into. Just have a conversation with them. Yeah. Maybe you'll run into an electrician. Maybe you'll run into the head of transportation. Maybe it'll be a groundskeeper. Right. Just chat it up with them. See how they're doing. That way they're not only seeing you at an event or in your office. Right. And it's not the only time they hear from you is when there's a problem. So that's kind of that third pillar. I found those three things: communication, organization, and relationships are truly keys to success in this field.
Awesome. I couldn't have said it better myself. I feel like
perfect.
That's how you take care of it all. Okay. Last one, Jen. Throw out that question.
All right, Sean. So what do you know now that you wish you knew then? So what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yep. So now it has turned into one of my tips, but I wish I knew that 99% of your problems, they have a solution to them. It's the world is not falling. Someone else has made that same mistake. Don't stress out about it. No. When I first started, it's like, oh, I want to make sure I'm doing a good job and I don't want to make mistakes. And it's like, you get yourself all psyched out and you get in your head and like, don't worry about it. Just work hard, do your job, and it's all going to work out. Like I said, pretty much every problem has a solution. And don't be afraid to ask for help if you have a problem, right? Yes. Or if something goes wrong. Yes. I would always, look to my bosses, for that advice, because I'm sure they've probably dealt with that issue at some point. It took me a little while to get that way, and it's like I can say it. So here's the advice now, but it took me a little while to figure that one out, though. But it's like, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. Someone will help you. There's nothing worse than making a situation worse because you were just afraid to ask for help. Right. And it just kind of compounds on you, and now it's just become a much bigger thing. So that's definitely something I wish I knew early on, that, don't sweat it. Right. It's fine. It's not like, oh, you're never going to get to move up in your field because, you made this mistake. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah. It felt like it at the time, but in retrospect, you look back and go, what was I caring about at that point? What was I so nervous about?
Exactly. And now it's like, as you deal with those things and you build that confidence and you get to the point where it's like, I feel like I've seen it all at this point. Right. When things do go wrong, you're like, all right, whatever. Let me just take a second. I'll figure it out. I'll call someone who might be an expertise in this area. And I'm like, oh, I bet they'll know how to fix this issue for me.
It's almost more exciting sometimes when you hit something you haven't seen, because you'd be like, okay, I haven't come up with that one. How are we going to fix it? Because, you're not going to your phone and being like, oh, let's just call this person. And then I think the one that's so funny is like, especially the younger staff, like will be like, oh my God, this is so hard. And I'll make like one phone call and call somebody and it'll be done. Like, how'd you do that? Well, I've just done this a really long time. So there's an answer to it. You just got to get to the right person, and I'll show you how to do it. This is the person you need to call next time. But it is funny.
My favorite is when we lose power at work sometimes, which actually happened recently. And everyone's like, oh my God, we have no power. And Maury's just like, they have no idea why it went off. It's coming back on. Good luck. And we're all like, he's like, yeah, I mean, do whatever you need to do. Go home, stay, whatever. I'm like, okay.
It came back on. I know what the issue is now. I know how they're going to fix it. And I mean, it's about 20 minutes. And the contractor knew what they should never do again. So we'll be in good shape.
It's funny you say with the power going out, more. I will never forget. It was, I believe, the ACC tournament for men's soccer when the lights went out. Yep.
They were the old halogen lights. So you had to wait for them to come back on. Yeah, it was great.
Yep. Wait, it was mid-game?
Oh yeah,
I want to say it was like right as they were coming back from halftime.
Yeah, it was right like as we were coming back out, and it was like, and you heard the click. You heard the click of it, and I think I'm on the phone with the electricians, and I kind of remember going in. The guy had a giant bar because the main surge went out, and he's like, he told I think you and I step back about 20 feet, and he goes in with these rubber gloves and pushes the thing back on, and I was like, oh my God. And then I think about
them to warm
up, and we're sitting there trying to explain to everybody because it was just one of those freak things that happened. And then I think for next like 2 years I paid somebody to be on standby, and it never happened again. I was like, well, that's a waste of money, so we don't do that anymore. But
well, what a great story to think of.
So once you said the power, I was like, oh, yep, I know all about that.
Power's fun things. Now we at least have LED lights, so you just get them right back on when they turn off. But yeah, those old halogen lights that had to cool down. Not my favorite. Well, Sean, thank you so much for coming, reminiscing with you. So good to see you. I'm so proud of your success. I know I have a very little part of it, but I am very excited to see how wonderful you are doing. And then always catching up with you is fun when we get to bump into each other. So thank you for doing this for us.
No, I really appreciate it. And I know it was only a year on campus, but I had a great time, working with you guys. And whenever I tell my story, it always starts with Syracuse.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. This was so much fun.
Yes, I had a great time.
Okay, well, we'll see everyone next time on the podcast. Jen, make sure to remind everyone about where they can catch us.
Yes, make sure you are following us on social at @AthCareerPod and all your podcast platforms. New episodes drop every Tuesday. And this was great. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.